Hello, friends. I am going to answer today my most frequently asked question, and that is, how did you know you could do this stuff? How did you end up doing this and stuff like that? Um, I can identify three major thresholds in my life that led me to where I am now. The first would be um, going to college. Getting out of that little, because I was like George Bailey. I'm gonna get out of this little one horse town and go change the world and all that type of stuff. So that started with going to college, and I went to the college library and saw more books in one place I'd ever seen in my life. And there was a section, I remember turning a corner, finding a section called, it was probably called Religion and Philosophy, because I went to college in the last half of the 1980s, and they didn't even call it spirituality back then. But anyway, I saw all these books, and I said, I'm going to read all these books. I did not read all those books. I read a few of them that really helped me understand myself and the world. One of the major ones was called The Tao of Pooh, and that's Tao, Tao, as in Taoism. And that Taoism is like Buddhism, that they talk a lot about what the Tao is not. The Tao is not this, the Tao is not that. So a lot like identifying God. What is God? Well, God's not this or that or the other, but he or she or it is in everything. So that really helped me understand things I've been feeling and sensing all my life. And so that was also a friend in college took me to a little store called Pathways. That's not the Pathways now in St. Louis that I go to and where I read. A little teeny tiny shop in Quincy, Illinois, that had like one little section of tarot cards, one little section of crystals and candles and stuff like that. And I got a reading there. And I remember this woman, flipping over tarot cards and talking about this, that, and the other, and saying, "You're going to be a important spiritual leader." And I just thought, you're way off. There's no way. I'm going to college to be a research psychologist, and I'm going to figure out people's brains and why they think the way they think and why they do what they do, but I'm not going to be any kind of spiritual leader. But, otherwise it was a good reading as far as I remember. And so that was about, 32 years ago. So that was the first. Another part of that experience of going to college, I also took martial arts lessons. I was fortunate to have a teacher named Jeff who taught us not just self-defense, but a lot like they teach in yoga, to feel the energy in your body and things like that. And so that was very helpful. And then, I kind of went the typical life path of getting married, getting divorced. Got married way too young and dumb. Got divorced, and I'm living in St. Louis. And I was listening to the radio. I had a job that I'd actually had a job fixing payphones at the time. So, it was a long time ago. And I was listening to the radio. There was a woman on the radio interpreting dreams. And I called in and I said, excuse me. I said, I don't have a particular dream that I really want to get interpreted. I have patterns that I see. And I said, I have dreams often that somebody's trying to kill me. It's not like a war or a battle. It's like spy versus spy, sneaking around and lots of chasing each other. And it usually ends up in me killing him, or else I wake up before it ends. And she said, well, every person in a dream represents a part of you. And every situation in dreams is something about your life. So basically, because the man was in black, I didn't know him. This was an aspect of myself that I was so removed from, I didn't even recognize anymore. And she went on to say that the conflict of this person interprets as conflict within myself, with an unknown part of myself and yada yada. And that seemed true for me at the time. I was very much a conflicted person. I was a very angry young man, bitter. And this one was a teacher at the School of Metaphysics, and there still is a School of Metaphysics in St. Louis. But anyway, and you can find them at som.org if you want to look into it. But that's where I learned to really meditate. And that's where I learned that I had been meditating before, just didn't know it was meditation. I thought I was just kind of having a strange nap. But anyway, that's where I learned focused concentration, meditation, a healing technique called Kundalini, and several other things that was like, it was like when Harry Potter discovered Hogwarts. Like, not only do you guys understand me, you teach this stuff, let me in, please. I literally quit everything else I was doing and went to School of Metaphysics. Anyway, that was a huge, huge breakthrough for me. I learned how to use my mind effectively, concentrate, and things like that. And that was around 1997, 98, 99, around there. And then a friend of mine at the School of Metaphysics said, hey, have you ever been to this little place in St. Louis that had this meditation circle on Sunday nights? And I said, no. So we went there, and that was the Circle of Light prayer and meditation group. And I started going there every Sunday night. It was incredible because part of their service was messages from spirit guides. And that greatly interested me, of course. And they didn't worship a particular entity. They were just all about peace and love and happiness and getting together and having a circle of that, prayer and meditation. And I loved it. So much so that I started volunteering for things in Circle of Light. And there was one day, I remember a woman named Sherry was giving messages. And at the end of service, I said, sometimes when you're giving messages, I see the picture in my mind before you describe it to the person. Not just my message, but for people in the circle. And she put her hand on my shoulder and said, oh, honey, you need to be giving messages. And again, I'm like, oh, hell no. I'm not getting up in front of people and doing that. But eventually, I convinced myself to take the classes at least. Deborah Bourbon, the owner of Pathways and leader of Circle of Light, the minister, taught classes called development classes. So I took those classes, learned how to use my gift of sight, and learned how to use that concentration that I learned to still my mind, set my conscious mind aside, and be able to channel my guides. So that was the three major thresholds that brought me to doing this professionally. That's a very brief version. You have any more questions about it? Feel free to comment on this post. Contact me directly through the messenger if you want. You can always call or text me at 314-403-4744. It's my cell phone. So now, so we're looking at almost 20 years, actually exactly 20 years since I first went to Circle of Light. Now I'm an ordained minister, ordained by Reverend Deborah Bourbon. I'm one of two active ministers, and I'm also a founding member because I helped write the Constitution and bylaws, which was exciting and challenging, all kinds of fun stuff. Our church, Circle of Light, has just moved to 4025 Wilmington in Holly Hills. I hope to see you there, and I welcome your questions. Take care.